Welcome to another enlightening episode on the iHistory channel. Today we delve into the unspoken identities of our modern world. These are the identities that, while increasingly recognized, still face significant challenges and taboos. Among these are non-traditional gender identities such as transgender, non-binary and genderqueer identities, and diverse sexual orientations including bisexuality, homosexuality and asexuality. Despite growing acceptance, in some societies, these identities often face significant hurdles. They grapple with social acceptance, legal rights, media representation, and the complex task of explaining their identities to a world that often prefers binary definitions. The journey towards acceptance is fraught with challenges. Even as we witness significant advances, biases and discrimination persist. Heated debates ensue over issues like same-sex marriage, adoption rights for LGBTQ+ couples, and transgender rights. These debates often expose the deep-seated prejudices that continue to permeate societies worldwide. The complexity of these identities is often misunderstood or ignored, leading to stereotypes that further marginalize these communities. The struggle for acceptance and understanding is not just about legal rights. It's about human dignity. It's about respect. It's about acknowledging and celebrating the diversity that makes us human. Yet, there is hope. Around the world, people are challenging norms, breaking down barriers, and pushing for change. They are standing up against discrimination, fighting for their rights, and making their voices heard. The conversation is expanding, and more people are learning to embrace rather than fear the diversity of human identity. While strides have been made, the journey towards complete acceptance and understanding is still ongoing. Each of us has a role to play in this journey. By challenging our prejudices, opening our minds, and embracing diversity, we can contribute to a more inclusive and understanding world. So, let's keep the conversation going. Let's continue to challenge the taboos and fight for a world where everyone is free to be their authentic selves, because in the end, it's our diversity that makes us human. Stay tuned for the next part of our series as we continue to explore the taboos of our time. Thank you for joining us on this journey of understanding. Until next time, this is the iHistory channel, where history is always in the making. Moving on, we delve into another, less talked about issue: mental health. The shadow of stigma still looms large over the landscape of mental health, casting a veil of silence and misunderstanding. Conditions such as depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia are often met with misconceptions and prejudice, making them subjects that many shy away from. In many cultures, the mind is seen as an invincible fortress, and any sign of mental strain is perceived as a weakness or personal failing. Imagine living in a world where admitting you have a cold is met with disdain, or discussing a broken leg is taboo. Sounds absurd, right? Yet this is the reality for many, grappling with mental health issues at the silent struggle often hidden from view. But there's a glimmer of hope piercing through this veil of silence. More people are beginning to recognize the importance of mental health, echoing the sentiment that it's okay not to be okay. Access to treatment is improving, with more resources becoming available for those in need. From online therapy platforms to mental health hotlines, help is becoming more accessible. However, the road to understanding and acceptance is long and winding. While we've made strides, there's still a mountain to climb. Stereotypes and misconceptions continue to persist, and the societal acceptance of mental health conditions is still a work in progress. The conversation around mental health is akin to chipping away at a giant iceberg with a tiny pickaxe. With each swing, we're making progress, but there's so much more beneath the surface that needs to be addressed. Let's remember, mental health doesn't discriminate. It can affect anyone at any time. It's not a sign of weakness, nor a character flaw. It's a part of the human condition, as real and as important as physical health. The more we talk about it, the more we can dispel the myths and misconceptions that surround it, fostering a more understanding and compassionate society. The conversation around mental health has started, but it's far from over. We must continue to push for change, challenge the status quo, and ensure that no one has to suffer in silence. Because it's not just about speaking up, it's about being heard. Next, we turn our attention to the increasing polarization in our societies. Polarization, the sharp division of people or opinions into opposing factions, is on the rise, casting a shadow over our ability to engage in meaningful dialogue. One of the main arenas for this divide is politics, where debates over immigration, environmental policies, human rights, and the economy are becoming more and more heated. Immigration, for instance, is a topic that can trigger intense reactions. Some view it as an opportunity for cultural exchange and economic growth, while others see it as a threat to national security and cultural identity. Similarly, environmental policies have become a contentious issue. On one hand, there are those advocating for stringent measures to combat climate change, believing in the need to preserve our planet for future generations. On the other hand, there are those who argue that these policies could hamper economic growth and lead to job losses. Human rights, too, are a topic of intense debate. Issues such as gender equality, racial justice, and freedom of speech can provoke strong reactions, often leading to a stalemate in discussions. The economy, with its myriad complexities, is another area where differences in opinion can be stark. Views on taxation, welfare, and government spending can vary drastically, often leading to polarized debates. In this climate of division, political discussions are often avoided to prevent conflicts or misunderstandings. People fear that expressing their views might lead to arguments, or worse, damage relationships. This avoidance, however, only serves to widen the divide. In an ideal world, these differing perspectives would lead to robust discussions, fostering a deeper understanding of the issues at hand. But when polarization takes hold, it can lead to a refusal to consider opposing viewpoints, hindering constructive dialogue. In conclusion, while it's natural for disagreements to occur in any society, the increasing polarization we're witnessing can be detrimental to our collective progress. The need for constructive dialogue, the willingness to listen and learn from each other, has never been more crucial. From politics, we transition into another sensitive area: religion. Religion, the sacred beliefs held by billions, can indeed be a delicate subject to navigate. In many societies around the globe, questioning or criticizing established religious beliefs is seen as highly offensive, even taboo. This hesitation stems from a deep respect for the sanctity of personal belief systems, but it can also stifle open dialogue and critical analysis. Religion weaves itself into the fabric of our societies in various ways, influencing not only personal lives but also public spheres. One of these spheres is politics. The intertwining of religious doctrine and state policy can lead to fervent debates. Some argue for the separation of church and state, citing the need for impartial governance, while others advocate for the influence of religious values in shaping laws and regulations. The sphere of education is another area where religion plays a significant role. The inclusion or exclusion of religious teachings in academic curricula can stir intense discussions. Supporters of religious education argue that it fosters moral values and cultural understanding. On the other hand, critics might assert that such teachings could promote bias or infringe on the rights of those who follow different faiths, or none at all. Moreover, the influence of religion extends to legal systems worldwide. Laws based on religious beliefs can sometimes create contentious debates, especially when they seem to conflict with modern societal norms or human rights principles. These discussions can be complex and emotionally charged, as they often touch on deeply ingrained beliefs and values. However, it's important to note that social attitudes towards religion are not static. They evolve with time. The rise of secularism and individual spirituality is testament to this. More people are now identifying as spiritual but not religious, seeking personal enlightenment outside traditional religious structures. This shift is reshaping our world in myriad ways, sparking further debates about the place and influence of religion in our societies. As we delve into these sensitive discussions, it's crucial to approach with respect, empathy, and an openness to different perspectives. After all, understanding begins with conversation. The changing attitudes towards religion are reshaping our world in many ways. Our next topic is one that continues to plague society's racism and discrimination. The complexities of this issue are vast and deeply rooted, making it a subject that is often avoided in conversation. Yet it's a reality that permeates every layer of our society, influencing opportunities, relationships, and even our understanding of history. Systemic racism, for instance, is a term that describes the embedded discrimination within our societal structures. It's not just about individual acts of prejudice, but about the unseen mechanisms that perpetuate inequality. It's about the disparities in education, employment, housing, and criminal justice systems that disproportionately affect certain racial and ethnic groups. Privilege, on the other hand, is an often unseen advantage that individuals gain based purely on their race or ethnicity. It's an uncomfortable truth for many, as it suggests that some of the success we attribute to our hard work or merit might be in part due to systemic advantages. Then there's the subject of colonialism, a historical period marked by the domination and exploitation of one culture by another. The effects of colonialism continue to ripple through today's societies, shaping power structures, economies, and even our understanding of the world. Discussions about these subjects are complex and often uncomfortable. They challenge our perceptions of fairness, justice, and our own identities. Acknowledging the impact of racism and discrimination in society can be a difficult process, often met with defensiveness or denial. However, it's a necessary step in the pursuit of equality. These conversations require a deep understanding of the histories and contexts involved. They demand a willingness to listen, learn, and question our own biases. They ask us to confront uncomfortable truths about our world and ourselves, and most importantly, they call for action, for changes in attitudes, behaviors, and systems. Addressing these issues requires not just sensitivity, but a willingness to learn and understand. It's not enough to not be racist. We must strive to be anti-racist, because only then can we start to dismantle the prejudices that continue to divide our societies and hinder progress towards true equality. Lastly, we touch on a topic that impacts us all: economic issues and inequality. It's an uncomfortable truth that the gap between the wealthy and the poor is widening. In a world where a tiny percentage controls the majority of resources, the question of income inequality is no longer a theoretical debate, but a lived reality for millions. There's a pervasive myth that wealth is justly earned and poverty is the result of personal failure. But this narrative overlooks systemic issues like unequal access to quality education, job opportunities, and healthcare. It's not simply a matter of individual effort, but a complex web of socio-economic factors. The controversy doesn't end there. Wealth distribution is a contentious issue, with some advocating for a more equitable spread, while others staunchly defend the right to amass unlimited wealth. The devil, as they say, is in the details. How do we define fair? And who gets to decide? Access to resources is another prickly subject. The stark disparity in access to clean water, nutritious food, and safe housing is a grim reminder of how economic inequality can have life or death consequences. The pandemic has further highlighted these disparities, with the most vulnerable often bearing the brunt of the crisis. Then there's the critique of economic structures. Capitalism, for instance, is often hailed for promoting innovation and competition, but its critics point out its tendency to concentrate wealth, exploit labor, and deplete natural resources. The search for alternatives has sparked heated debates about socialism, universal basic income, and other economic models. Of course, these discussions are not easy. They force us to confront uncomfortable truths about our societies. They challenge our beliefs about merit, fairness, and the good life. But avoiding these conversations only perpetuates the status quo. The sustainability of our current economic practices is a debate we can no longer avoid. As we navigate the challenges of the 21st century, we must dare to question, to rethink, to imagine a more equitable world, because at the end of the day, economics is not just about numbers, it's about people, their lives, their dreams, and their dignity. In conclusion, we've traversed the landscape of modern taboos, from the unspoken identities of gender and sexuality to the silent suffering of mental health stigmas. We've explored the polarized perspectives in politics, the sacred yet often unchallenged beliefs of religion, and the hidden prejudices of racism and discrimination. Lastly, we delved into the uncomfortable inequalities of our economic systems. These are complex, sensitive subjects that demand our attention and understanding. It's not about agreeing on everything, but fostering an environment where dialogue is encouraged, not shunned. As we navigate these waters, let's remember, progress isn't made by silencing conversations, but by engaging in them with respect and openness. Let's continue to question, explore, and discuss, for it's through these conversations that we evolve as societies. Thank you for watching the video. Subscribe to the iHistory channel, like and share. Also, don't forget to activate the notification bell. See you in the next video.